Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So, I have a couple of news stories for you guys here this morning that I think is very interesting, especially when we kind of break down the no kings and Latinos for Trump aspect of this particular broadcast. But first, let me just, guys, give you a very a very brief overview of Donald Trump escalate his stance calling for Iran's unconditional surrender, as well as the supreme leader of Iran retaliates, warning that any U.S. entry into the Israel conflict will unleash irreparable damage and potentially all-out war. Israeli forces opened fire on civilians waiting for food aid in Gaza, killing and or wounding dozens amid a worsening humanitarian crisis, and as well as the No Kings movement that's set for July 17th. We understand that they had their last one on June 14th. And this is for its next national demonstration, honoring no other than John Lewis and pushing for racial justice, voting rights, and democratic reform. I have no idea the relationship and the connection between John Lewis, who was a civil rights leader, supposedly marching with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to the connection of protests and outcry to keep people who are illegally in the country. But nonetheless, let's get right into your top stories, because President Donald Trump has publicly called for Iran's unconditional surrender and is reportedly considering direct U.S. military strikes, including targeting nuclear sites in Iran. Intelligence sources and media outlets say that President Trump convened briefings and is warning to using air power, not just defensive moves, but preemptive pressure. Bipartisan alarms are rising in Congress over potential unconstitutional action. Now, these first couple of stories are connected in some way or fashion. And I wanted to point out some key words that the supreme leader of Iran has stated. Now, irreparable. That's the word he used. Iran's supreme leader. He answered President Trump with a stark warning that if any U.S. intervention in Israel conflict will cause irreparable damage, invoking images of all-out war that the Iranian officials have threatened U.S. bases and sanctions on oil shipping routes like the Strait of Hormuz loom. And Tehran says it will never surrender. Again, Iran is a country of 92 million people compared to Israel, 9.7 million people. So Israel is in a two-headed war, one against Hamas in the state of Palestine, in the region of Gaza, and in the country of Iran, trying to prevent them from creating nuclear weapons. Even though they have enriched uranium, they already have the capabilities, so to speak, in order to make these nuclear weapons. But he used irreparable. Now, I just want to point this out to you guys because I think it's imperative that you guys understand what irreparable means. Irreparable means impossible to rectify or repair. Now, if the supreme leader of Iran is targeting oil pipelines and military bases, those things could be repaired. Those things can be replenished. Now, because they have the capabilities, because they've already been enriching uranium, is there a possibility that Iran is sitting on a couple of nuclear bombs? And I don't say that very lightheartedly, but he said irreparable, meaning that it's impossible to rectify or repair. That sounds like a nuclear warhead. That sounds like they may have one or two or a couple of nuclear bombs, okay? And this is my opinion, because words matter, okay? The context, when you say words like irreparable, meaning that it's impossible to rectify or repair. We're talking about Chernobyl, where there's so much of residual radiation that people still can't operate, grow food, live in that particular region of Russia. I digress, but that's very significant. And it states here, okay, and here's some of your sources to the right. I think the most notable source is CNN, not Wikipedia. It says, no, Iran does not currently possess nuclear weapons, but it does have a nuclear program and has been enriching uranium, which is a key component for nuclear weapons, while Iran insists its program is for peaceful purposes like energy and research. The international community, including the U.S. intelligence community, closely monitors the situation due to concerns about potential weaponization. So again, they're stating that they don't believe that Iran has nuclear weapons, but they have enriched uranium, which is a key component to making nuclear weapons. And I guess my only conjecture is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know if they have nuclear weapons. But again, I'm just going off the Supreme Leader's word saying that they're going to cause irreparable damage if the United States of America involve themselves in this conflict between Israel and Iran. Now, this story is heartbreaking once again because the war between Hamas and Israel is still ongoing. And it seems like a lot of the innocent citizens there in Palestine are being killed, hurt, and injured because Israeli tanks and troops opened fire on crowds of starving Palestinians queuing for aid. And the reports vary from 11 to nearly 60 people killed, marking one of the deadliest aid line shootings yet. Now, most happened between June 17th and 18th in central Gaza, as UN and local health sources confirm horrific losses. UN agencies are investigating, calling these events potentially violation of humanitarian law. So again, America's bid, America's play in these two conflicts between Iran as well as Hamas is very imperative for the state of Israel, because without America's support, without America's resources, without America's military equipment and prowess, they wouldn't have a chance. Now, I thought about this. What if Hamas, the state of Palestine, or Palestine rather, gets in cahoots with Iran because of the war in their countries or the war in their countries against said groups? Now, let me point this to your guys' attention. Population of the military defense force. Population of Israel military defense force is approximately 170,000 active military personnel. Okay. And if we come down here, the reserve force of approximately 465,000 personnel. Now, when you compare that against Iran, Iran has 1.18 million individuals. This consists of 610,000 active duty personnel, 350,000 reserve forces, and then 220 paramilitary personnel. Basically, they have 220,000 people who are ready for war as well. So again, you're talking about over 1 million soldiers, naval men, airmen, and all other sorts of paramilitary people who are ready for war. Then we look at the state of Palestine, okay? It says active personnel as of 2018. Now I will increase these numbers because the world we live in, I'm pretty sure they upped their numbers, but they say from 2018, there were 310 active personnel, 301,000 people. And as far as the reserves are concerned, 330,000 reserve personnel. And they also have National Guard militias, just as well as America, that estimates 159,000. So they're sitting on roughly 800,000 people. 800,000 people roughly when you combine these forces when it comes to Palestine. Now, lastly, we're talking about Hamas. They said before October of 2023, they had 20 to 30,000 fighters. As of January, 16 to 18,000 fighters remain. And other sources estimate that their numbers is anywhere between 15,000, but no greater than 40,000, with over 30,000 new recruits. So let's just say that Hamas has 30,000 Hamas members, okay? Hamas terrorists, Hamas members, etc. Now, if Hamas, Palestine, as well as Iran joins forces, I can tell you going to be all-out war in the Middle East, and America will be involved. The only question I have is the words of the Supreme Leader of Iran. What is he talking about when he states irreparable damage, irreparable destruction if America involves itself in the war between them and Israel? That's the question I have for this particular story, because when you combine the forces that are currently going against Israel, there's no chance in hell that Israel could compete or even be a viable force in this war without America's support. I wanted to drive that home very quickly so you guys get the statistics and the numbers so you understand. Just by the sheer numbers, Israel don't have a chance in winning this war without America's support and help. But thus, they're literally in a two-headed war between Hamas and as well as Iran. And Iran, by the way, is a very large nation in the Middle East, comparable to Iraq, Israel, and other countries like Jordan and Yemen as well. No kings. The nationwide No Kings protest movement, mobilized by over 5 million participants across 2,100 cities that they went out on protest on June 14th, they have announced its next major demonstration for July 17th in honor of John Lewis. In honor of John Lewis. In honor of John Lewis. No kings. Now, I don't know how long No Kings or the 50-50 one movement, meaning 50 states, 50 protests, one movement, whatever it may be. How do they group in John Lewis, who was a civil rights activist, with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for civil rights and Black justice? I'm now granted, now John Lewis didn't do too much. He spoke a lot, but he didn't do too much when you look at the legislations and actions. And I'm not trying to denigrate him, just giving you guys the truth. But what is you commemorating John Lewis in this movement, in this protest against illegal immigration? That's the questions that I have for this movement. Because I think it's very imperative that we understand the spawning of this movement due to deporting people who are illegally in the country. Because these events, driven heavily by what seems to be Hispanic and Latinos, some Caucasians, and very few Blacks, will focus on racial justice, voting rights, democracy, and resisting authoritarianism. Now, Texas is a hotspot with cities like, McLean, including 15 plus North Texas locations, as well as California and Chicago, even in Georgia. So, No Kings, let's talk about this particular organization. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this speech that this bishop gave, but I'm gonna let you guys hear just a little bit of this.
Before Congress, they have arrested us, but they've not stopped our prayers or our prophetic critique to arrest the consciousness of America. Americans are learning the details of how this big, ugly, deadly, bad bill would kill tens of thousands of people in our communities by stripping health insurance from 15 million Americans, closing hospitals, slashing nutrition assistance programs, leaving millions of hungry children, cutting thousands of jobs supported by green energy crisis. And according to a report from the public health scholars at Yale and the University of Pennsylvania, the cuts to health care alone would kill 51,000 Americans next year. And the more people learn about its details, the less popular Trump's signature legislation becomes law, and his attempt to move more money from the poor and working poor to the wealthy than was transferred during chattel slavery. And because of this, you cannot be silent, and the cries of the people will not be silenced. That is why this regime is in.
I want you guys to look at your screen here. We have a Black bishop up here preaching and protesting about the big, beautiful bill, as well as he brought in slavery, brought in all these other things that has nothing to do why this organization in the first damn place even spawned up. This was to repel and to protest people who are illegally in the country being deported. Now, the Hispanic Latino community came out and stated that there is no Black support. Well, there you have it. There's the black support. One of our bishops on stage, and black people are not a monolith. He doesn't speak for Foundation of Black Americans at all. But I'm just looking at the support of the crowd. They got some proxy up here to speak against the immigration laws in America by deflecting to a whole different argument about the big, beautiful bill and how that's going to kill 51,000 Americans. And I'm just looking at some of the people's faces here. A lot of people look confused, do they not? Can we zoom in on this? Look at this guy right here. Can you see this guy right here? He looks confused. This guy looks confused. He looks confused. This guy right here looks confused. Everybody looks confused.
Panic. And when an authoritarian is weak, he will do anything to get attention. But we don't have to give Trump and MAGA what they want. We don't have to bow by waving a flag at his parade. Our demonstration of moral strength is in opposition to the tyranny that threatens our very existence as a country. And this kind of gathering can unite us in a moral movement to save America. And we will not stand down, not now, not ever.
Wow. Okay, so guys, if you're just tuning in, I don't know what the heck is going on. He's talking about the big, beautiful bill. He's talking about racist justice. He's talking about everything except why this whole New Kings movement, New Kings organization even got highlighted in the first place. And this is because they're nationwide protests because people are getting scooped and grabbed and detained and then checked to see if they're illegally in the country. That is what we have right here. No King's protests.
Because the truth is, when it comes to the need to stand up for the Constitution over a ruler who would ignore the courts, we are indivisible. When it comes to the need to repair breaches between...
Please act like the master of the people. That is the moment to evict, eject, reject, impeach, try, convict, and start all over again. Under Article 1, President Trump, your job is simple: to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. That's it.
Now, maybe this is a movement against everything that President Donald Trump that they believe is doing wrong. I see the Free Palestine flags. We have a direct connection with Israel, who is operating in the Gaza region, trying to eradicate Hamas, but innocent and thousands of people are getting killed. Got it. We talked about grouping in remembrance of John Lewis in the civil rights movement when he was marching with Dr. King for civil rights. And they're talking about this is about civil rights. And we're going to get into it. It's about civil rights. It's about justice. It's about voting rights. Okay, where did all this come from? Where did No Kings come from? And I'm not just talking about the organization, the movement. I'm talking about where did the term No Kings come from? Yes, America have no kings. We don't have a parliament. This is not England. This is not Europe. This is why a lot of those European peasants came over to the New World in the first place to start a new government that had no kings. That was supposed to be a democracy, but they wrote it in as a republic according to the Constitution. So when I look at this, I'm just very confused about this organization called No Kings. So it states here, what's next in the fight? As ICE raids escalate and Trump's double down on authoritarian tactics, including politicizing the military, we're meeting the movement with action. The road ahead is just about one protest or one day. It's not about that. It's about building a movement powerful enough to win against authoritarian forces dead set on destroying our democracy. What's the first thing that you read? See, we can't negate the very first thing that with this fight, what's next in the fight that No Kings is talking about, the ICE raids. It's kind of like, if you guys ever had a cat or seen a cat and they have, I forgot that area that they take the poops in, but they poop in a cat kennel or whatever they call it, and then the cat's covered up with something smell good. That's what they're doing right here. ICE raids. Got it. Now it's about a movement powerful enough to win against forces dead set on destroying our democracy. So upholding the law within America. And here's the thing about this. All countries have immigration laws. All countries have immigration laws, that there's a right way to come inside that country legally. Then people were stating how this is a direct reflection of what Black people went through. No, it's not. No, it's not. We did not go through anything like this. We were never illegally in the country. We never protest for people who are illegally in the country. And then they have Latinos that came out in support of Trump for those other people, Hispanic and otherwise, who are illegally in the country. Wow. And I'm just looking at, the protest that says about no kings. President Trump wants tanks in the streets and made a TV display of dominance for his birthday, which was unnecessary, in my opinion. Is using military personnel to show the prowess of America. Now, granted, again, guys, I'm not a Kamala supporter, a Trump supporter, an independent supporter. I'm just giving you guys the truth as I see it. And I could be biased, but I'll let you know when I deal in the bias. It's a spectacle meant to look like strength, but real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. I agree. No Kings is a nationwide day of defiance from city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks. We're taking action to reject. They keep saying authoritarianism and show the world that democracy really looks like. We're not gathering to feed his ego. We're building a movement that leaves him behind. So this is totally anti-Trump. The flag doesn't belong to President Trump because they believe that he thinks that he's a king. It belongs to us. We're not watching history happen. We're making it. And then, of course, the next show of protest from No Kings is going to be on July 17th. On July 17th. So, quite frankly, a month from now. So let me bring you guys full circle. Latinos for Trump. Let's get into this. Now, here's their website, and I'm just going to point out a couple of things here. First, I'm going to start you off with this message from President Trump to Latino Americans. Have you guys noticed that? Latino Americans, meaning Hispanic Latinos who are citizens because they are American. I just wanted to point that out.
Today and every day we honor, cherish, and celebrate Hispanic American workers, families, students, businesses, and leaders. Hispanic Americans embody American values, devotion to faith and family, commitment to hard work, enterprise and community service, and a fierce patriotic pride.
The one thing that I've noticed, okay, and again, guys, I'm not trying to racialize everything, but I have to bring things into context. Out of all these Hispanic people that have gathered together in the White House while President Trump is admiring and giving them contributions and accolades, I do not see one dark-skinned Hispanic person. Let me tell you why. When I go to the Dominican Republic, I see dark-skinned Hispanic folk. There are Afro-Mexicans in Veracruz and Mexico. There's over 500,000 Afro-Mexicans, by the way. When I go to Honduras, when I go to Belize, I see dark-skinned Latinos. But every time we see pictures of Latinos, they're either medium brown or really light skin or white skin. Is this another version of Rahala Rasa, where they're talking about enhancing the race? Because I don't see the representation of the entire Hispanic community. I'm just saying.
American dream, but their incredible efforts are unlocking the American dream for citizens all across our land. America is winning again, and Hispanic-owned businesses are leading the way. They are winning again. Today, we come together to honor the incredible contributions Hispanic Americans make to our communities, our culture, and our country every single day.
Now, granted, Trump has done this for Hispanics, Asian, and Black Americans, by the way. He's given some sort of tribute. But let's get into the mission statement, okay? No. Let's first go to President Trump's accomplishment for Latino Americans, right? Because, again, Latino Americans, not Latinos and or Hispanic people who enter the country illegally, okay? Accomplishments. And I'm not going to read all of these. I'm just putting it on the screen for context. Okay, under President Trump's leadership, the Hispanic community saw a record low unemployment rate, record high Hispanic ownership, and record low poverty. Never did that for Black Americans. Real wages for Hispanic males rose 3.9% while President Trump was in the White House. Under the Trump administration, Latino household wealth rose by 65%. Where are the Latinos for Trumps and the masses that we saw them protesting for people to vote for President Trump? President Trump delivered the biggest tax cut in history and freed business from stifling regulation, allowing Americans of all demographics to prosper. President Trump reversed Obama administration's disastrous policy of easing restrictions on Cuba that allowed more funds to flow to the repressive Castro regime. So he did something for Cuba as well. And just the other day, I guys show you how a Cuban lady stated that how racist Cubans are to Black Americans and that they never did anything for us. Very interesting. Let me back up. Let's look at the mission statement. Now, this is an eye-opener. The mission statement of Latinos for Trump. Latino Americans for Trump is founded on the fact that with President Trump, the Latino community in this country has a president who is committed to removing the obstacles. Well, the obstacles are the people who are legally in the country from all different races and backgrounds and countries. Those are the obstacles that keep minorities from achieving the American dream. Biden has failed to secure our communities, failed to deliver higher real wages, and failed to bring down record prices. President Trump achieved record low unemployment, made it possible to own a home, started a successful business, and ensured that the Latino families have a voice in their children's education. President Trump will once again ensure that no matter where our families come from in Latin America, that all Latino Americans have a home under one flag, the American flag. And this is to Latino Americans, not people who are from Central America, South America, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, Eastern Europe, and all these other countries to be in the country illegally and be support. Because here's the thing. Where are the supporters that created this website, who got these coalitions together so Donald Trump could be voted in? Because again, over 45%, 47% of the Latino community voted in President Trump. The higher percentage of that number is around 60-some% of Hispanic males voted for Trump. So again, they created this to push so President Trump can not only support them with resources and funding, but for him to be in office. Wow. Now they're turning their back. I don't hear anyone, I've seen onesies and twosies talking about this is what we voted for. I've only seen 2 Latino videos, Hispanic videos, where they say that this is what we voted for. So all these people out in the street turning their backs on President Trump, this is what we voted for. That's what they're stating. And again, I know that 1 or 2 people don't talk for the entire, Hispanic Latino community. I understand that. But again,
I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade.
Lord. This is what happens, guys. This is what happens when you have people who come from other countries and they get inside of our government. They don't speak any truth, is a bunch of lies. Okay. And I want to show you guys something, because this brother right here, this is the same thing I've been speaking about for a very, very long time, but I'm going to let him tell it. I think he does a better job. Please excuse some of the language. There go your trigger warning right there. But listen in on this.
Going to do the construction now? They're getting snapped off the job sites. Who's going to build your houses? Who's going to build your company? Who's going to do all this hard work? We're going to fucking do it, dummy. U.S. citizens, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know if you're blind, deaf, or fucking stupid, or all the above, but YouTube, Facebook, the internet, Instagram is a real place. You get on there, you can see men and women, U.S. citizens building shit from the ground up with their own two hands. We can do it just like them. What are you talking about? Who's going to do it? I know you're a little cloudy, a little foggy, because, you know, a lot of streaming's going on, a lot of TikTok this, YouTube that. I know you don't. Shut the fuck up. We can do it as well, not me personally, but I'm a CDL holder. I can drive the fuck out of an 18-wheeler. Yeah, easy. What are you talking about? All across this country, I've done that. Easy. Who's going to do all the work? Who's going to do all the work now? We're going to do all the work. What are you talking about? It's a lot of American people who's good at construction as well, doing hard work. What are you talking about? Jump on YouTube. I follow so many men and women who can do it, if not better. So stop putting out this fake information where all the Hispanics are being grabbed up. So you're going to be shit out of luck. SOL. No, we're not. No, we are not. Shut up.
I first want to say this because for some reason, some people are thinking that all Hispanic people in America are illegal immigrants, which is 1,000% untrue. It's 1,000% untrue. We have a large, very large, more than the foundational Black American population of legal Hispanics. I want to say they're around 16% of a population of America of legal, but they rose to 19% because of those Hispanics who are illegal in the country. So they rose 3%, which is a very significant number when you count 11 million immigrants inside of our country. So I don't necessarily know how many of them are Hispanic or not. I could, do the research on that. Nonetheless, that's the first thing I want to point out. Not every Hispanic person is illegal in America. Some of them have been here from the inception of the country as well. Not as many as foundational Black Americans coming out of slavery, but nonetheless, they've been here for generations. They've been here for decades, so to speak. Generations, not decades. So again, that's the first thing I want to point out. And then secondly, what I showed you guys at Homar, she's probably mostly for her countrymen of Somalia, more so than foundational Black Americans, more so for Americans. And that's the thing about when people from other countries get inside of our government, they tend to look out for only people that look like them and share the same background. But when you get Black Americans in office, it's kind of strange to me that a lot of these Black Americans who are in office tend to do stuff more so for other groups than they do their own kind. But these other groups do more for their own kind than they do anyone else. Look at the irony in that. Look at the contradictions in that. Wow. Rocky Matrix says, Homar is not for FBA. I do agree. Ricky Rebel Manor states that white lives do matter, and now he is identifying himself as a white man. States here, Ricky Manor is disappointed in Trump with bringing white essays. Nonetheless, I thank you guys for joining me here this morning, but I had to point out this debauchery. And granted, I want those thousands, those hundreds of thousands, those millions of Hispanic Americans who voted for Trump to come out publicly, socially. What about doing a pro-ICE? Think about that. Do a pro-ICE protest for those Latinos Americans for Trump. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Blacklogic.